Great. So, welcome everyone. Welcome to the Saturday at 8 session. And this time I thought, let us talk about body, and what it communicates to us, because it does communicate to us. And it seems that maybe in the modern scenario, the way we have our lifestyles, they are so disconnected. Somehow I feel that they're so disconnected from the body, mostly in the mind realm we are. And that too, it's kind of a distorted realm of mind. It's not that we are accessing the higher planes of mind, not like that. It's just that we are so busy in the regular rut of mundane thinking that that also disconnects us from the body's intelligence, and hence only very late we get to know of many chronic illnesses that develop in our body. And I have been through cancer myself, and I notice very very significantly that how being in the mind all the time can disconnect you from the body's intelligence, and how what are the messages, what are the means in which the body communicates, and what does it communicate. So I would like us to explore this area. It's a vast topic, but I think the crux is really very simple. So we will go into the vastness first. We'll share if we have some experiences connecting with body's intelligence, communication from the body of something that we are going through. And then we'll also come to the crux of the matter, because although it's a complex manifestation, yet the crux is quite obvious. It's not, we cannot ignore it. It's quite obvious, the crux. What does the body want to communicate? Uh, and somewhere it also connects with our inner truth. Are we living in alignment with our inner truth? That is what body kind of channels that communication also. So let us begin with sharing a little that what resonated in this topic. Maybe you have been connecting with the body, and what kind of communication you feel it does to us. In what ways does the body communicate? Misalignment, alignment with your truth. Uh, have you felt phases or glimpses or moments where you have felt deeply connected with your own self and also with the body? And have there been phases where we feel absolutely lost in the head, in the stories, past, future, and then how the body can actually help us tune us back into the present reality? Yeah. So if one by one we could just share our reflections, and I'm sure all of us are in a space, Snehi, Mahima, Zainab, Aisha, and Shweta, all of us have experienced uh, this communication from the body. So in whatever comes to you, any anecdote or anything that you want to share would be very helpful for us to begin with.
So yes, I'll start. So uh, I want to say that yes, my body has been trying to communicate since a long, long time, because like now that I understand that my consciousness has largely been at a mental level and emotional level, focus. So unknowingly, I was not even looking at my body and the pain. So parallelly, it was paining, hurting, but like uh, being more focused on mental, emotional, and like a little bit of like beyond that. But at that level, and totally ignoring the body in because of your ignorance. So that has made me like it did develop a lot of pain in the body. So like for almost 2 decades I've been living with the pain, but it not giving it attention yet, and just dragging with it. So last, I think, 1 year or so, I understand how, like because I'm bringing the focus back to the body now and healing. So I understand how much it has taken a toll, in last 2 decades. So now my work has started on the body finally it is getting some attention. Like literally, I apologize to my body a lot because it was like ignored left, right, center. Like it didn't matter. So yeah.
Beautiful, beautiful. And since you are connected with children, Shweta, I think little children are so much one with their bodies.
Yes.
There is some truth there also, that as adults in our modern contemporary lifestyles, we are so disconnected with our bodies and totally in the mind zones. And little children are totally in the here and the now, and they are one with the bodies intelligence.
Yeah. They are a huge reason for me also to get it back, like understand it and get it back. Yeah.
Yeah, beautiful. Thank you for sharing. Yeah, anyone who wants to share their experience?
Yes, ma'am, I would like to share.
Yes.
Ma'am, disalignment happens when we live more in our mind, fantasy, like, we want to be there. We don't want to enjoy the present. We don't want to cherish the little things. Either we are thinking about the past or future, what good can happen with us or what bad can happen with us, looking at someone else, comparing our life to them, our body, our lifestyle to others, and there the frustration develops, and anxiety increases, and even while eating we'll be having different things. So many things will be going in our mind that we don't even pay attention to our food. We keep on eating. When we sad, we eat that, that void, to fill that void inside us. So yeah, even if we are frustrated, we keep on eating. So this is the thing, this is where the disalignment happens between body and the mind. So we should pay attention, and to bring back that alignment, it is not necessary that everything should work for everybody. For some, meditation will happen, but when I practiced, I did not able to see changes gradually because my problem was overthinking. So when I sit for meditation, I keep on, so meditation is basically, to pass the thoughts, whatever is coming, without judging that thoughts. But I let the thoughts to just passing. You know, if I sit in night, like 10 o'clock, it will be 1 o'clock. I won't able to sleep. So what I found out is, I practiced art journaling. So what I noticed is, when I did art journaling, it calmed my nerves. My attention went somewhere else, to that colors, to the words, to the pictures. So it is not necessary what works for me that works for other person. For other person, might be walking barefoot on grass work for them, or walking in the middle of the forest or in the park, or playing sport, that might help for them. So only we can analyze ourselves, our problem, and we can only dig the solution for that.
Beautiful,
That's
beautiful. And I think what you are sharing is connecting with your senses. When you are doing art journaling,
yes.
you are actually making use of your senses to come back.
And also
here.
it calmed my nerves.
Yeah.
Whenever, when we come to sleep at 10 o'clock, we keep our mobile outside the room, but still we'll be thinking about it, the emails, the messages, what I'll be doing tomorrow. So subconsciously we'll be doing. So when we do that art journaling, it disconnected to the world and to our, to this art where colors, pictures that soothes and calm our nerves. That is what worked for me.
Beautiful, beautiful. Yeah. Great. Thank you for sharing. Beautiful. I think that's why Mother and Sri Aurobindo has stressed so heavily on refinement of senses, because it's not to shun our senses that we have the senses in material world. When we talk about asceticism, sadhu ban jao, duniya mein kuch nahi rakha, there we talk about shunning the senses, since we have misused the senses also. But Mother and Sri Aurobindo do not talk about shunning the senses. They talk about refining the senses. So paying more attention to beauty, what you were just sharing, doing art or doing clay, doing pottery, walking, taking walks in nature, doing something with nature. So paying attention to beauty through our senses. I think that is what you were sharing, calming down of those nerves.
Yes, ma'am, exactly.
Yeah, beautiful. Mahima, you wanted to share?
Yeah, am I audible? Hi, so yeah, I was relating to everybody's experience actually, and also I felt like, being in my body more than my mind helps me because my mind is kind of a little messy place to be in. it, it's like I kind of, I guess, didn't trust my body. I thought, like mind is the smart one here, as it like it knows, it is like all the intelligence here. But like I have learned that body is intelligent too. Like I don't know why or how scientifically, but it's like body knows in a way. Like that intuition thing is kind of like the smartest thing, which like when it like sometimes it happened in life, like my intuition was saying something, but I thought, I need to analyze it and think it logically, quote double quote logically. But finally I reached the same place where my intuition was telling me. So it was like, yeah, like I didn't trust that first, Kiki. I felt like this is not scientific, this is not logical, how can, but now I have felt that, like my body is intelligent enough to be trusted over mind sometimes. Yeah, that is my experience.
Absolutely. And also, regarding the mind, again, if you go into it's so much vast, this domain of mind. It's not that the mind is just a corrupted machinery. It's not like that. It's just that the way we have been using the mind at our ordinary level of consciousness, abusing the mind, there it becomes a misused tool. Mind has a lot of capacity, we have not harnessed into that capacity of mind. And but for that, first what we have to do is to silence the mind, to empty the mind, to quiet the mind, so that it can tap into the domains of intuition and the other higher possibilities. And if you look at little children or people who are more connected to their bodies, their minds are simple. They do not have very complicated minds, and relatively less crowded than our contemporary so-called urban minds. And hence they have also uh, the ability to get intuitions and to work according to those intuitions. Now what happens with us is that we also get intuitions, but first of all, it only happens in glimpses and flashes. It's like kabhi hai kabhi nahi hai, kabhi hai kabhi nahi hai. While they who are more rural, in village based, or the tribal communities, more grounded, what happens with them is that since they are much connected with their bodies, their minds are also simple, and their minds are also able to connect to the intuitive faculties, and they follow it. तो पर्सनल एजेंडाज नहीं होते. तो मुझे लगता है कि जो माइंड की भी फैकल्टीज है ना, खैर दे कुड बी अनदर सेशन ऑन द टैपिंग इनटू फैकल्टीज ऑफ माइंड, द कैपेबिलिटीज ऑफ माइंड, because we just abuse that tool, that little instrument that has been given to us. We just abuse it, but it is capable of much 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 more. It is capable of being a receptacle, but only when it is empty. If it is crowded with all the garbage which we think is very necessary, हमको लगता है कि बहुत जरूरी है इसके बारे में सोचना, तो जब तक हमको लगता रहेगा अरे बहुत जरूरी है इसके बारे में सोचना, तब तक वो क्राउडेड रहेगा. लेकिन one day if it dawns to me that this is not helping me, I don't want to be here, and this conviction has to come from within, as Zainab was sharing, that every person has their own route. So the conviction has come from within, that I don't really want to go into that forest of overthinking, over abusing, because that kills me. That kills the silence of the mind. And once the conviction is there, only then I can slowly put effort to silence the mind. And it's not effortless process. Silencing the mind is not effortless. It is an active process. You have to put energies into that. But that, then we go into some other complexity. Yeah. So body does communicate. Body does communicate. It has been communicating. It's just that I am somewhere else. Something more important is there waiting for me, as if Zanab was saying that, as if that is, if that happens, then I will be happy. If that happens in future, if that would not have happened. So there, in the past, in the future, as if we are ripped apart and we are not able to listen to what body wants to communicate. Yeah. So anything more anyone wants to share on this, Snehi or Aisha? Any personal anecdotes, experiences? Yeah, Aisha, anything from you? Any experience that you want to share here? I think some internet issue. Please. Snehi, anything from you? Yeah, Mahima, you want to share?
Yeah, I like, this is not personal, but I had read a book. I don't know if some, like, called Body Keeps the Score, something like that. So it is like written by a psychiatrist who, he discovered that if we, sometimes people suffering from something, instead of like mind therapy, doing the body therapy actually works. Like, this exercise is important for this trauma, like things like that he was mentioning. Like, he was like, body is keeping that traumatic energy and storing it. Like I was attending some yoga classes a way back from YouTube itself. So it was like that. She was like, the tightness means like some trauma is there, like that mind body healing connection sort of thing. So yeah, personally, which I related with, he was like if you have had a parent who has kind of very angry person, my father is like that, like if you have lived with a parent who was sort of get angry easily, then you will find that your body has lost like spontaneity. And like for those people, running and jumping would be like a healing exercises instead of like slow. And I was related because I never do fast exercises. Like I am always doing yoga or something like that, stretching or something, but I'm never into gym. And when I started running, I actually felt that, sort of fear ki ha, like my body is not spontaneous, like jumping, running, my body feels like, I need to hide. So it was like that, like another person, she was into psychology. She mentioned like people who are not used to taking up space and, speaking up should do this spreading out exercise, like opening your arms wide. And am that person. I was that person. So yeah, while spreading out, I used to feel that fear. So it was so amazing to me, like that body also store the mental diseases and mind store body diseases, and like healing has to be holistic, you know.
That's beautiful, very powerful. Yes. Yes. It's amazing how it is all connected. You cannot really segregate that this is mind, this is emotion, and this is body. You cannot segregate it. It's all entangled. And that's why they can have, I think it's uska fayda bhi hai, being entangled ka fayda bhi hai, because then they can help each other. If the mind gets depressed and I do something with the body, as you were suggesting, the mind gets healed, the emotions get healed. And if the body gets diseased and I work on my emotions, the body gets healed. So it's amazing the kind of interplay between these so-called categories that we have made, but they are not categories. They are all one with each other. That was really very powerful. Yeah. Yeah, any further experiences to share? Aisha, would you like to share anything? I thought you were connecting your internet. If you want to share, would like to hear, or maybe not if you don't want to. Okay, so I'm assuming at the moment there is no further. If anyone wants to share, please unmute and share.
Yeah, so
Yes.
I just wanted to add one point. Recently, 3-4 days ago, I was very tired, okay, like mentally tired, working like from morning to evening. So mental fatigue, but at such times, like usually you feel tired and you want to sleep. But how again the correlation of the body, like just walking for half an hour released my mental fog. So how physically, actually, engaging physically helped me to heal mentally. I'm talking about mentally in just mental fatigue, the tiredness of the day, being in front of laptop from morning to evening. So just by walking, physical walk just helped to just release that mental fatigue. So yeah, it is totally connected.
Beautiful. Yeah. I think there is also at the base of it, what appears to me is, which is also very obvious, the life force is one. Now, that very life force, which is one, that either goes into the mind, goes to the emotions, or goes to the body. And we all know that what happens through our life or lifestyle is that life force gets obstructed at several places, and that's what brings diseases into picture. And that the life force or the prana, it gets obstructed, kind of जैसे नाली block हो जाती है, it gets blocked at such several places, owing to again many factors, mental, emotional, maybe purely physical. But I'm wondering whether there is something purely physical or not really, because since this is all connected. So वही life force है. If it's just getting जैसे आप बता रहे हो कि mental fog हो रही है, the same life force, if it's creating mental fog, abuse हो रहा है उसका वहां पे, you direct it to the body, so something it does in the body that it clears up the mind also. So it's actually magical how it works. It clears up the emotions also. It, as Zena was using the word, calming down my nerves, I think. And breath again connects to this very strongly. All kinds of pranayams or breath work, that connects to it very strongly. And if we actually stay with the breath for a long time, you would see that you would not be able to engage in the story part, because the moment I am lost in the story in the head, I have lost the track of my breath. And breath is a connection with the body. And if I am able to stay more with connected deep breaths, calming breaths, then you also see that mentally, also emotionally, you feel a little settled, even if you are going through something. So it's quite interesting, this domain. And I think that there is much more which needs to be researched, because as in science and biology, we think that we have done enough, कि ये हो गया तो ये दवाई ले लो, अच्छा माइग्रेन हो रहा है तो मेफ्टाल ले लो या डिस्प्रिन ले लो. नो, बट माइग्रेन हो क्यों रहा है? माइग्रेन से बॉडी मुझे क्या बताना चाह रही है? And I have to put effort in observing that, because even little things like migraines and headaches and stomach aches, and I would say all these cramps and all these things that we regularly time to time get, all of them have something to communicate. And to such a level that if you really walk this way towards purity and observing yourself, you would see that if you really are becoming more and more purer in your thoughts, feelings, and the body, you would see that one day you said something which was not in alignment with your truth, something, owing to your old habit or pattern, you said something to the other person, or maybe thought about something which was not in proper alignment, maybe an ill will or something, and you would see that kuch gale mein ho gaya, kuch something or the other happened. And if one is observant enough, one can trace it back. That अच्छा मैंने ये सोचा था, and maybe it's just the body's communication that it was not necessary. It was not in alignment with my truth. And also how we look at diseases, because I remember that the first time I had this diagnosis, and the concept that I had in my mind was that I must have done some bad karma that I have this disease. But it's not really true. It again depends on what the soul wants to go through all the experiences in this life, and also what is going on in mental thoughts and emotions. And that is giving rise to a disorder, a disharmony, which, because I do not sense early, then it gets transformed into bodily disease, so that I can see it. So ऐसा लग रहा है कि कुछ है हमारे अंदर, something which is very pure, which is in alignment with truth, which wants to communicate. Now, if I don't listen to the stress, because stress is subtle, I can really ignore stress or take stress as, अरे stress तो सबको होता है. You make stress a way of my life. So if I ignore the stress, then that thing from inside wants to further communicate. अच्छा stress को नहीं देखा तो अच्छा headache देते हैं. तो headache, so headache से maybe she notices, headache से भी नहीं. Okay, let me give a muscle cramp or something, maybe a little fall on the ground. So something or the other, as if it wants to come from inside, wants to communicate. And since I have become so insensitive that I do not listen to the signals, then it has to manifest on the grosser level, which is the material body, physical body, so that I notice. Because उसको तो हम ignore नहीं कर पाते ना. बॉडी में कुछ हुआ है तो हम अभी के अभी भागेंगे हॉस्पिटल. बट अगर इमोशनल लेवल पे हल्का सा रिपल है, मेंटल लेवल पे हल्का सा रिपल है, उसको हम सदियों इग्नोर कर सकते हैं. We can ignore it for years and we would not get to know that something is wrong. So I think in that sense, then this communication of either an illness through a disease or some happening is actually a blessing, because then at least you have a chance to wake up to your reality. Otherwise, the way we live, we are so dumb, as if we live in a sheath and we are so insensitive to all these signals that nothing works. Sleep, हमारी जो sleep है वो इतनी गहरी है कि छोटे छोटे नॉक से काम नहीं चलता. So भारी नॉक देना पड़ता है, कि अच्छा आग लगा दो तब तो उठेगी. Something like that. That if there is fire, at least then you would get up and take care of your own being.
Ma'am, one more thing I want to say. Like, our mind wanders. We have that monkey mind. It jumps from one part to the other. It is up to us for what and what we need to pay attention. Because as we say, attention, where attention goes, energy flows. As you told, emotions, feelings, it cannot be segregated. And when it comes to researching, we ourselves can make that bridging theories. Like according to quantum mechanics, we all are matter and energy, and all energy is interconnected. And when we see to this law of thermodynamics, third law, energy can neither be created nor be destroyed. It can transfer from one form to another form. And when we see Big Bang theory, the Earth, the whole planet, how it formed, energy from that small particle, the big Earth formed. And even when we see zoology, we say from cell is the basic fundamental part, and from that tissue, organ and organ system. So what even that cell is made up of? Atom. Then again, what atom? Proton, electrons. So what are they basically? So energy. So we all are energy. So it is that minute particle. So that is why when we think and these diseases, all it is related, because we all are energy basically. It is not that we are just individual or that organ system. The basic thing is energy. So it is up to us to pay attention. By paying attention, whether we want to create happiness in our body or to create adrenal rush in our body. So yeah.
Beautiful. Yes. This energy aspect that you are talking of, this is the same aspect when we say that divine is Satchidananda. Sat is existence, Chid is consciousness, and with consciousness there is Shakti, Chit Shakti, consciousness force, and Ananda is the bliss that we all crave for. So you are actually pointing towards that Shakti, which is the aspect of our basic reality, fundamental reality, which is one with the consciousness itself. And that is where it also connects me. I can't help but connect it with the mother also, because mother, if you go into her works and words of Mother and Sri Aurobindo, she is a manifestation of this aspect of Shakti, the life force, the energy that we are formed of. And that is why you cannot keep yourself disconnected from that mother or which has given birth to you. And it almost is a magical key that if we can, those of us who can connect with Mother and Sri Aurobindo, it becomes, the path actually becomes very easy, because then she takes over the guidance and the problems for you. And she is the Shakti, she is the manifestation of this energy that you're talking of, the energy which is hidden in these so-called particles. So that is beautiful, the relation that you made with quantum physics. And they are now in the search of God's particle. Scientists are now in search of God's particle. And it appears to me that one can never find God's particle. Because if I have found a particle, then it means that this is God particle and I am looking at it. This can never be, because we are all in that consciousness of which everything is made. How can I define it? How can I limit it to something very little and say that, yes, I have found God's particle and this is what everything is made up of? So it's a mystery, and it appears to me that it is going to remain a mystery even for scientists, no matter how much money we can continue to spend on it.
Ma'am, and also about diseases. It's like, it appears when a kind of emotion, whether it is, like frustration, depression, disappointment, guilt, whatever, when it is suppressed, maybe, that's open the path to the diseases. Because when we say emotion, that is E stands for energy, energy in motion. So when that energy does not flow in a proper way, in Chinese it says chi for energy. So when it gets blocked, and so when it is suppressed and blocked, it has to come, because it has that potential, that force may appear in the diseases and disorders.
Absolutely spot on. And that's why people who work with for example, inner child healing, or relieving old knots from your past, because energy is blocked, what they do is they take you to a deeper level of reliving that memory, that okay, as a child I felt this and that, and since then I have this fear of maybe people who look like this or that. So you have a knot in the body itself. So what they do is, first I go into a deeply meditative state, I tap into that memory, I relive that memory, and in the body I express it out, that how would I feel. So as if I have to express that anger I felt 20 years ago when I was a little child, how would I feel it in the body? And they ask you to express it, like, throw your body apart, throw things if you want to, because that is how you release that knot, the knot that you were referring to. Because we were suppressing the emotion, we did not have anyone to talk to, we did not share it with anyone, we did not express it either. But it's not that we were healed from inside. I was just suppressing. I was thinking all the bad possible things, and I was as if the raw material was suppressed in a pressure cooker, and it was never given an outlet to go out. So when I relive it, and then I relive it also through the body. I relive it through the body. How would I feel? Okay, bang my legs, hit something on the wall, and that releases the knot of or the obstacle that formed in the body. So that's very crucial what you just shared. It actually helps in healing diseases also at mental, emotional, and the body level. Yeah. So I think there it also points us to that, can we incorporate something in our life which helps us to keep this flow going on, that we are also very observant that, okay, I feel a bit uneasy, something is not right, maybe let me talk to someone, let me share it with someone, because when you talk it with someone who has, you think an idea about it, you get a perspective where you think, oh, maybe I got into that and that's why I blocked something inside me. So again and again it appears that something or the other happens through our thoughts, or what something happened outside, that I make a limitation inside me, like I make it into a limited belief, and it bothers me, and no one likes to be limited, no one likes to be suffocated, and it keeps on bothering me, but I don't pay attention to it. So if we become sensitive enough to each and every ripple of movement in my thoughts and feelings, then I cannot take it for years कि 5 साल हो गए और अब पता लग रहा है कि अच्छा ये नॉट हो गई थी. No, then the moment it happens, I'll be able to think about it, talk about it, or resolve it at some or the other level. And many a times it happens that in our personal lives, there are so many dots which would not be ever resolved. Because it's not only you in the picture, there are also other people in the picture, and you may want things in certain way, but it's not necessary that should be the way for all of us. So many a times we see that there would be unresolved dots in our life. Now we have to find a standing or an anchoring within us, which is resolved, calm, peaceful, in the middle of all the unresolved, unconnected, disconnected dots. I think that's where all this life force has to kind of anchor itself. Because things will not happen my way. People won't always agree to me. I won't always agree with people. There would be disagreements. And even then, can I have a deep connect within my being that in the middle of unresolution, I am resolved. It's okay. So finding rest amidst all the possible chaos that may be there. It's not an easy thing to achieve, but I think that's the only hope. And that's the only possibility for each one of us. And that also takes me to what I was pointing in the beginning, that the crux of the matter is one. When the body gets in trap of the ego consciousness. And what is ego consciousness? I want this, I don't want that. According to me, this is right. This, what is happening, is bad. So when we are stuck in images and patterns in our own head, my idea of life, my idea of how the world should be, how my life should be, there we limit. And that limitation is what gives us tension, what constricts us. That's what we call ego consciousness, that I'm trapped in the ego consciousness. I'm trapped in my own limiting beliefs. So body very easily signals us whenever we are in the trap of ego consciousness. Your heart burns. Have you ever been jealous of someone? Have you ever felt hate towards anyone? Have you ever felt angry? You would see that the front part of the heart burns, or maybe something burns in the tummy. So that's the body's way of communicating that now I am in the grip of ego. So if I'm sensitive enough, if I can pay attention, then I can choose not to follow the dictate of ego consciousness. I can allow myself to calm down, allow the wave to pass, do something with the body so that the wave passes quickly, and then from a deeper calm state, take any action further. Knowing that body communicated to me, it was a wave of ego consciousness coming. And can I not act according to that? So I feel, and again, more reflections, the field is very vast. I feel that the body communicates to us whenever we are in the grip of ego consciousness, and parallelly, the body also communicates with us whenever I am in alignment with my inner truth. Your breathing becomes easy, deep, flowing. There are no obstructions in the being. Your body feels lighter. The head is lighter. The heart is lighter. You feel an expansion within the being. As Mahima was sharing, that if you expand your hands, you feel that something is opening. So that kind of an expansion you feel. There is a lightness in the being, when you are not operating from the ego consciousness. So all these are signals from the body. All these are signals which, if we want, we can tune in to listen to those signals, so that to live a life which is more in alignment with my inner truth. And I feel that living in alignment with our inner truth is our social responsibility. We owe this to ourselves and also to others around us. Because the more I live in the trap of ego, first of all, it's not beneficial for me. Secondly, it is also never beneficial for the others. So as if the whole, I would say that there is a pressure of growth of consciousness from nature itself. Because body is nature. What is body? Body is nature, part of nature. It goes to dust once we leave the body. So there is pressure for the growth of consciousness, even from the nature's side, that, hey, I will communicate with you. You listen. So I think it's very good to tap into your intuitive feelings. How do I feel about doing this? How do I feel about taking a nature walk? How do I feel in the body about doing an art journaling? How do I feel in the body when I talk to certain person? In the body, how does it make you feel? Does it expand you? Does it limit you, suffocate you? And then we can also see that why is it suffocating me? Because again, a person may be giving an expansive idea to somebody else, but when that person interacts with you, you feel suffocated. So what is the high idea that I am holding in my head for that person that is making me feel suffocated? Because life is not what happens. Life is what happens, but how we react to what happens. So that person may be right there in front of me and also a friend of me, but how am I reacting to that person? What are the things going on in my head when I see that person in front of me, and what is happening? There may be something else when he interacts with some other person. And why, questioning, why do I have to think like that? What is making me limiting to that little story or that little pattern of thought? So I feel that it's almost a tapasya of one kind, that to be so much in love with your own self and the whole of existence, that let me take with a lot of sensitivity everything that comes to me. Let me learn through it. Let me progress through it. Let me know more of myself. Let me know this, the whole machinery, the mind, the thoughts and emotions, the body, how it works, in what way it does it operate. So that kind of a scientist or an observer kind of a look, I believe that's what is needed if we really want to enjoy the whole process. Because it is an enjoyable process, observing yourself and the way it works, the mind, body, and emotions. And the more we connect with ourselves, the more we connect with other people. It naturally connects with other people because other people are also made of same stuff. Stuff is the same. Yeah, so I think I have just blabbered enough. Any more sharings, any more insights would be most welcome. So please share. And also, this idea of how nature makes us heal. How when we are amidst mountains or valleys or rivers and ocean, because we are also nature. The way we live nowadays, the lifestyles that we have, it appears that nature is forests or something else, and I am something else. The human being is something else which goes to nature, while the fact is that we are also nature. And that there is no wonder why we feel so rejuvenated when we are in the midst of anything which is so natural, because we are one with that. But this idea of too much living in the mind, too much living in the stories all the time, thinking, overthinking, this disconnects, as if it becomes a brick wall between our own nature and the nature that is there, the forest and the animals and all that. So the vital force, the life force of which we all are made is one. And that's why we feel so amazing and at rest when we are in the middle of any kind of nature, whatever may resonate with anyone. Flowers, or maybe mountains or valleys or river or swimming, or any kind of any activity with nature, watching a sunset, watching a sunrise, sitting down quietly for the sunset, looking at the colors, birds. So all that, why is that it has a healing impact? Because I am one with nature. It's only that we delineate ourselves, we categorize that this is nature and I am not nature, that the trouble begins. So that's why, if this global situation against the climate thing also, whatever harm we do to nature is done to us because I am part of nature. If I am throwing a plastic at a place where it should not be thrown, I am harming my own sensitivity. And those people, those of us who become more sensitive to their own being, it is not possible that they are insensitive to earth. That's the oneness that we share. This is the common base that we share. That those people who will be disconnected from their own essence, only those can harm the nature. You would see it very, very clearly. And those of us who become more and more aligned with our inner truth, they sense the oneness between the all of existence, and they cannot do torture on the whole of existence. Not knowingly, at least. Knowingly, they would not harm. And that is the sensitivity all of us need at this state, in global consciousness. That is what we need. We need sensitive people. We need people who are careful, who are empathetic, who are not ready to wage a war if some disagreement is there. That's what we need the most. So I think this idea of connecting to the body and hence connecting to your deeper self, since the body is already connected to the deeper self, I think this is almost the crux, urgency, so that we can be really living in deeper and deeper harmony with our existence. Not harming each other, not torturing each other. And by each other, we don't just mean human beings. We just mean all of the creation. How for greed we keep on mining and removing forests, and how for greed we develop buildings after buildings, which have absolutely no requirement at the moment. Because greed disconnects us from our inner truth. Greed arises out of that inner incompletion, and that is not my truth. We are not incomplete. We are whole and fulfilled. And the moment I tap in that wholeness and fulfillment, I cannot be greedy. Okay, so I think I have really shared much, and all of us have shared their reflections. If there are more reflections, I would be happy to take them up. There is still some time, or if not, we can also reflect over these pointers that we discussed today and maybe tune into more into our body's intelligence, because it knows the best. How little children know the best. And this sense of uneasiness is something Mother and Sri Aurobindo have pointed at, that from the very beginning, children should develop, we should sensitize children to be observant of this sense of unease. That आपने कुछ किया, आपने आज किसी का कुछ चुरा लिया, but you are feeling uneasy since past 3 hours, the time it has been stolen. So you have to pay attention to that uneasiness. Something is not right. Something is not right. Because that uneasiness tells me that I have swayed away. I have done something which is not in alignment with my inner truth. Maybe a word you said to somebody, it may be just one word, one little action. So the more than the greater we connect with our deeper self, the greater we grow in purity. Even a little movement of impurity, which is done in accordance to ego consciousness, that comes in the picture. We are able to see it very clearly, that आज ये किया था जो ठीक नहीं लगा. Okay, अच्छा कल से नहीं करना. I have to be more careful. This did not feel right. Maybe I don't need that. One word of abuse, one little spank to your kid, something or the other, little thing which appears totally unrequired. So that uneasiness, Mother says that those of us who more and more are connecting with their deeper truth, they become very sensitive to even a little ripple if they do something which is not connected with their inner truth. So you must have that sensitivity so that you can keep that purity alive, that uneasiness that you feel. So यहाँ पे we can end here also if there are no more reflections, or we can take up reflections. Anyone, anything? Okay, so just winding it up, this uneasiness, the same thing, whenever you do something which is in alignment with your deeper truth, it expands you. It makes you feel good. Maybe you are running for the office and there is little kid waiting, a street kid waiting for a food, a slice of bread or something on the road. And although you are in rush, you stop for a moment and give some water or food. Now, when you go to sleep, you would remember that moment that, yes, although I was in hurry, but this is what I wanted to do. So it makes you feel good. That little act of kindness, that little act of something which was in alignment with your truth, it makes you feel, that this was what I was wanting to do, and I thank God that I spent a few moments on it. And the body feels good, the body feels lighter, and in mental and emotional space you feel expanded, feel lighter. Yeah. So let us then, I think then we can end it here, if not any more reflections. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for coming up today and talking about it, sharing beautiful reflections, and thank you for listening, for those of us who have listened deeply. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Yeah.